Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. On today's edition, Jonathan will engage you in an exercise, taking a simple story with characters, but then will provoke your thoughts about how to bring those two-dimensional words into a three-dimensional picture. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, bringing a pitch to life. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
I'm going to be participating within a symposium in November at the University of Oxford titled Alchemy, Exploring Metaphorical Transformations and Arts-Based Research. In preparation for my presentation, I thought I'd prepare a sketch as if we were pitching a story to a studio. Our production company is named Content Pipeline, and we're a nimble, happy, tight-knit group of creatives in front of and in back of the camera. We pride ourselves by delivering productions on time and within budget. We're pitching to a team of production executives at a studio. We know in advance we'll have about 15 minutes. It's a mid-sized budget production. Our pitch is scheduled for 11:30 a.m., and we get the distinct impression the executives want to make a mad dash towards their lunch meetings after our pitch. I'm the executive producer and head writer. You can assume any role within the production you desire. But as I walk you through the sketch, I want you to bring your creativity to the story. Let's begin. An American writer ducks into a London pub to escape the early evening drizzle, which is turned to raindrops. The bar is bristling with tables full of patrons enjoying after-work drinks, blokes throwing darts, others enjoying rugby and soccer matches on widescreen televisions, and the usual mix of single men and women, hoping tonight will be the night they find love, or at least a hookup, to provide some overdue semblance of intimacy with another human being. The writer spies the only bar stool which is sandwiched between the service area, reserved for cocktail servers, and a man sitting on a bar stool whose gaze is transfixed on watching the bartenders mixing a variety of drinks. The writer is in sensory overload while taking in the sights, sounds, and people of the crowded establishment. His mind begins to race with thoughts of story ideas. The waiter approaches the man sitting to his right, asking, "What will be your pleasure this evening, sir?"
"A Vesper martini, shaken, not stirred."
He watches the bartender place shaved ice into the martini glass. The bartender retrieves a shaker in which he places a large measure of vodka, a dash of vermouth, with no need for measure as it's committed to eye-hand coordination. He places ice into the stainless steel shaker and vigorously shakes the concoction with rhythm like playing maracas. The patron is looking at his watch during the shaking as if keeping time. The bartender places a strainer over the shaker and pours the elixir into the martini glass. His final touch is massaging a lemon rind around the rim of the martini glass and laying the rind atop the drink before placing the glass upon a thick black gold trim napkin with the letter R inscribed.
I always appreciate a good healthy shake to create the appropriate aeration. I counted 15 seconds, which was perfect.
The patron admires the martini like liquid diamonds before reaching for the glass, sniffing, and taking a first sip. A subtle orgasmic reaction rolls across his face, and he remarks,
"Lovely, absolutely divine. You're an alchemist, bartender."
The bartender approaches the writer. "What will be your pleasure, sir?" "I will have a martini, but stir it." The writer catches a glimpse of the patron to his right, raising an eyebrow as if in disbelief. The couple sitting at the table to the left of the writer are engaged in a heated argument. "You're increasingly inattentive towards me, and I'm having serious doubts about this relationship."
I must say, Darlene, your remarks have become a standard refrain, and I'm finding them quite tedious.
The martini arrives and is placed upon the thick, elegant, black gold trimmed cocktail napkin inscribed with the letter X. The writer notices his martini is clear, whilst the customer to his right is enjoying a cloudy martini. The writer raises the drink, takes a sip, and places it down upon the napkin. He's beginning to imagine the bar as the perfect location for a precision choreographed robbery by a non-violent gang of thieves bursting through the door seamlessly, collecting wallets, jewelry, and money from the registers, when he's interrupted by the patron sitting to his right.
How is your martini?
The bartender forgot to include Alchemy. May I ask you why you chose the James Bond shaken not stirred version?
The shaking agitates the molecules of the ingredients and provides air to the mixture. Take a sip of my martini and notice the difference.
May I?
Please, I insist.
The writer reaches for the customer's martini and takes a sip, remarking, "That's delicious. Would you care to taste mine?"
No, thank you. I'd rather drink the wastewater collecting in the sink.
I was studying you when I sat at the bar. You were transfixed by the mixology and the measures of the drinks. May I ask what you do for a living?
I'm a chemist.
Where do you teach chemistry?
Americans call us pharmacists.
Are you pushing a lot of Ozempic, Doc?
I'm a compounding chemist.
I take that to mean you don't work behind a counter in a drugstore dispensing prescriptions, but prepare specialty medications?
I compound specialty pediatric oncology medications.
That's a tough gig, Doc. Are you helping the kids?
We're getting better drugs, but I never follow up with the efficacy of the medications on the children. My work is emotionally draining, which leads me to this bar stool every Wednesday evening after work to unwind. What brings you to England?
Research, so to speak.
I suspect you're a writer, judging from the stimulation of all your senses apparent to me the minute you sat down. It was as if you were inside the shaker and your molecules were stimulated.
Your deductive reasoning rivals Sherlock Holmes, Doc.
What kind of story do you have in mind?
At first, I was imagining a heist of this bar, but judging from the couple's heated conversation next to me, I may write a romance ending badly. The couple's pitch has ascended. You're vain, superficial, and incapable of emotional bonding. I'm finished with you and will expect your things to be removed before I return from work tomorrow. Goodbye.
Oh, darling, I don't mind picking up the tab, as I have throughout our short-lived romance. The waitress across the bar has been making eyes at me all evening, and I may bring her with me to remove my things. I'll make certain we enjoy a quickie in your beloved goose-down bed before leaving. Please consider it a goodbye gift from both of us.
If I gave a damn, I'd warn her in advance you're a lousy lover, but I'll permit you to unveil your shortcomings.
I've heard enough, my American writer friend. I bid you a good evening.
I never got your name, Doc.
Doc will do.
The bartender approached to remove his glass and clean the counter. That was an interesting guy, bartender. He watched you mix his drink like you were a mad scientist.
He's indeed an interesting man, sir. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine.
May I pick up his tab?
No need, sir. He arranged for payment, including your bill as well.
Please bring me another martini, but make it shaken, not stirred. I toasted my chemist friend, saying, "Here's to alchemy." The studio executives shout questions. It's a good sign. Have you location managers envisioned a location for our bar in London, or can we replicate it on the backlot in Hollywood? Remember the budget. How about you set designers? What's the bar look like? Old school London or contemporary London? Costume designers. What's everybody wearing, including the help? Director and cinematographer. What are your shots? Sound director. Where and how are you going to pick up the myriads of sounds found inside the bar? And don't forget the sound of ice cubes tumbling about the sparkling glasses. Is there music playing? If so, what? Last but not least, I need you casting directors coming up with ideas for the two leads. Male, female, both female, the couple, the bartender, and an interesting mix of extras to fill the bar. Producers, are you going to pitch this as a teaser to a movie about a real heist? Or the first episode of a television series about a writer and chemist who team up to solve murders? We're off to our next pitch. I hope you enjoyed this exercise and found a spot within the team, which, like alchemy, stems from your personal interests and talents. Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint. You may one day be leaving a footprint in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Class is dismissed.
Break a leg at the conference, Jonathan. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at jonathanfarini.com. There you'll find everything from drama to romance, something for every reader, including his latest short story, Ice Cube in the Sea. That's jonathanfarini.com, Farini with 2 R's, 1 N. Or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.